Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Nerd Bites Weekly Show. I am your host, DC, and per usual, I got my best buddy, Ketsorin, here with me. Oh, let me put this full screen. There we go. That's better. What's up, Ketsorin? How are you?
I'm great. I'm looking forward to tonight's show. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm a little apprehensive about tonight's show, except for the fact that we got good friend of the show, second time coming on, Ray Coffman.
Yo, what's up?
What's up, Ray?
I'm excited that you're here.
I'm excited to be here.
Good.
Good. We got a lot to talk about tonight. We got Lexicon to talk about. Ray announced some big stuff at Lexicon as well, so stay tuned in the show for a little bit of talk about that in a minute. But we wanted to start the show off by introducing our new segment called Food Bites Fridays, where we try weird food combinations and rate them.
From Chef Banana.
So what did you prepare for us tonight, Ketsorin? What are we doing?
So I have mine kind of marinating together, but we picked caramel. That's my caramel.
You.
Yep. We picked pickles and caramel.
Ray is even partaking in the inaugural.
I feel like there's a Ben and Jerry's recipe in here somewhere, probably. So.
Probably.
I've been craving this for weeks. Like, pickle and caramel sounds so good.
All right.
So I am ready for this.
So I've just got a bowl here, and I'm just scooping some caramel on the pickle, and I'm going to take a bite. So everybody, you just want to do it all at once?
Yeah.
All right. Here
sure.
we go. Oh God, this is going to be terrible.
All right. Here.
Did we count down?
I just took my first bite.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Well,
I mean, to be honest, the pickle just kind of overpowers the caramel.
That's what I'm getting here. Like, the caramel's more of a texture, but you're not really tasting it because the pickle's kind of overpowering the taste. Not bad.
So not the worst thing I've ever had because of that, to be honest.
I'm about it. I'm eating my whole bowl. So for those, here. Oh, you can't tell. Damn it. Oh, there we go. Here's my marinated pickle stew. I'm gonna eat this whole thing.
All right.
To be fair, I did not marinate mine. I just kind of dipped it like a condiment.
That's what I did too. And now I've got some pickle and
all you taste is pickle at the end.
Yeah, pickle and caramel juice here in my bowl now left.
I rated banana.
Chug it.
All right, so we'll rate it on a scale of from 0, sorry, not 0, can't have a 0, 1 to 10. 10 being a banana, 1 being a banana peel. So where does everyone fall on this? What would you rank it?
I give it a 7. It's a banana with some of the little thready pieces still on it and a couple of like little browning spots, but not too bad, you know.
I could rate mine an 8, like a ripe banana with a few more brown spots, but it's still kind of like, you know, I loved it.
I'm giving it a 5. The banana is definitely a little ripe, a little too ripe, but it's not quite there to, you know, make banana bread with. Like honestly, it just mostly tasted like pickle, so I can't really hate it, but it's not like amazing, you know what I mean? So it's like average, right in the middle.
But pickles are good unless you don't like pickles, right?
Right.
And then you're kind of like double whammy.
Yeah, but I actually love pickles, so.
I cut mine up. I cut up my pickle and I put my caramel in. And now that I'm eating the caramel sauce with the pickle, like it's more subtle. The pickle is more subtle, and it's.
Oh, your audio went blank for some reason.
Mine did?
No, Ketsorin's did.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. You're like way delayed. Okay. It's weird. But
okay.
Anywho, now that we've got that out of the way.
Yeah, literally we came on. I was like, "Hey, do you want to do this thing we're gonna do?" I was like, "Yeah, why not? I'm hungry. I'll try something."
Yeah, actually, I'm hungry, and that like made me even hungrier.
Like, Oh, that sounds pretty good.
Word. So we why don't we just start with LexCon, because it's fresh on my mind, and it started it was last weekend, and you were a guest at LexCon, which is awesome. I wanted to try to sneak you on the show beforehand, but I only had so much time, so many opportunities, and so now I got you on for your reaction to the show. So what did you think of LexCon this year? Did you have a good time? Did you have a good show? I know you sold quite a bit, right?
Yeah, like it was rowdy, man. It was rowdy. Like we got there, like that Thursday night is usually I think they call it All About Comics or something like that. And usually that Thursday night it's kind of pedestrian. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Last year's Thursday night was good, but I had to cut out at like 7:30 or 8 because I had to get home. But this Thursday night I stayed for a good bit of it because it was crazy busy.
That's what I
And
heard.
Friday was stupid busy. Saturday, we sold out of everything, like book wise, on Saturday.
Nice.
And I went in with 50 copies of Aurora Volume 1 and 2. And I was directing people to the website for Volume 2 on Sunday so they could order it there.
Wow.
Like, because I didn't have any more. We were down to 5 copies of Volume 1 on Sunday, and that sold out in like a couple of hours. But everybody was really cool. The vibe was intense. People were excited about the show. They were excited about the guests. We did a panel, and we had a friggin' phenomenal turnout for the
Awesome.
panel,
Awesome.
which I was kind of blown away by. I joked around with people. I was like, if 5 people show up, I'll be so super cool with that. You know what I mean? And because the cool thing was, it was over half full for my panel, and it was. And I say that because it's like not a lot of people know what it is yet, but we were over half full, and over half of those people I didn't recognize.
Yeah.
Usually it's people that show up to support you, to fill the seats and everything. It was kind of like that, but it was people that were there to check out the product,
That's awesome.
and I was super floored by that. There was a lot of love all weekend. People were very gracious. People were super cool. And one of the things I love doing when I go to shows now is just the networking aspect that I never did for years. I just showed up. I was like, I gotta sell X, I gotta sell Y, and I gotta sell Z. But for me anymore, it's not even about selling stuff. It's about networking and making friends and making real solid connections with people.
Right.
Shaking hands, kissing babies, that whole kind of thing. You know what I mean? And that's really what it is for me now.
Shaking babies, kissing hands. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, shaking babies, running.
Tell me if I can interrupt you for a moment.
Go right ahead. I'll ramble if you don't.
What kind of questions did you get? Like, what did you talk about during your panel? If I can ask that, I mean,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
there. So I mean, I'm interested.
Well, basically, I structured it in a way where I showed pretty much everything that had been worked on to this point. It's been 3 years of work by myself. Yeah, by myself, just animating and all that kind of stuff, and just showing what we've done, and then showing the talent that we've brought on board, and them talking a little bit in video about what their role was. And so we had like a 25-minute pre-prepared package, and I took questions afterward. And people were asking a lot of questions. It was a balance of about Aurora itself, but I didn't get a whole lot of those like I thought I would, because the people in the crowd were actually wearing like shirts,
Nice.
So I was like, okay, they know what it is. They're not just showing up like, what's this thing? They know what it is. They were asking questions about networking, about how did you make this happen, and how did you, if I want to do a thing like this said thing, how can I go about it? And that was the prevailing question. It's like, how did you do this? How did you get these people, and how can I do it? And the answer was, you got to sacrifice. You got to sacrifice sleep. You got to sacrifice sanity, and you have to have a support system at home that supports what you're doing. And it's good to have a support system of peers that support what you're doing too, because if you go 3 years doing this and it's a bunch of people just not sharing your stuff, not talking about it, you kind of go, oh man, I'm not doing a good job. Nobody likes it. You know what I mean? What am I wasting my time for? But
Man,
luckily that wasn't the
burnout.
case.
Yeah.
Yeah, luckily that wasn't the case, and my message to them was just kind of like, network. If you don't know how to network, learn how to talk to people, learn when to talk to people, learn what's cool to say, what's not cool to say, as far as like, things you would ask celebrities and stuff like that. When I first started approaching like voice actors and producers and people like that, I was just like, hey, can I get some time? I know you're busy. I appreciate how busy you are. Can I get some time? Can I get a few minutes? And plus, having a marketing background really helped with that. I was marketing director for several companies for years.
Yeah.
And so, it got to a point where they started being like, come back here behind the table with me real quick. Talk to me. What are you doing? What is it you're doing? I'd be like, I'm
Right.
doing this, I'm doing that. And they're like, you're trying to make a show. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, you in BFE, Kentucky, this dude's trying to make a show. I'm like, yeah. And that was the prevailing thought with everyone. And they thought it was a cool idea. They wanted to see this guy go get it, and be a part of it. But then they started to realize that I was down. Like, I was down for the business. And I have a side that I can put on that's business, that's
Right.
producer, and they were like, oh wow, okay. We're not just helping you, we're not just helping a guy floundering out here by himself. We're helping you find what you were supposed to be doing. And then once they started to see you have a handle on things, that you do have a taste for the business, that you can go out there and conduct business the right way, then they actually start getting excited to be a part of your project.
Start seeing your
So there was a
vision,
lot of
right?
people asking questions. What's that?
Start seeing your vision, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And you got to bring the passion too. One person asked a question, and forgive me, it was a guy, I can't remember his name, but he was like, "What do you think?" I'm paraphrasing. I wanted to get his question exactly right because it's a great question, but it was something along the lines of, what would you tell someone to bring to the table if they really wanted to get people involved that you have involved? We've got Steve Bloom, we've got Johnny Bosch, we got Michelle Ruff, John Eric Bentley, Yuri Lowenthal, we've got Chris Sabat now, we've got all these people. And they're like, I was like, just bring the passion, because if you're not passionate about what you're making and you don't really believe it's good, for years there was this whole prevailing thing with me too. Like, it was like, be over humble. Like, well, I'm doing this thing. You've seen people post. It's like, hey, here's the thing I made. If
Yeah.
y'all like it, just let me know. No. Hey, here's the next thing you're gonna love watching. Here's the next thing you're gonna love reading. Check it out. Get back with me. Let me know what you thought. Be confident.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's okay to be like, hey, I made this thing that I think is great. I hope you think it's great too. Please let me know if what you think. And anything I can do better, please get back with me and let me know. Don't be afraid
That's
to
a
let your passion show.
yeah, as a quote unquote content creator, that's something I always try to like convey to people is if you actually do take the time to watch my stuff, don't just like blow smoke. If I can improve on something, please tell me, because I am one to take constructive criticism. I actually thrive on it. And I think a lot of people can't handle that, and it kind of makes them crumble whatever they're working on. It's like, no, it's like you're supposed to get better, right? I mean,
Mhm.
you've talked about it before coming on the show and like just talking to you. I know you, I've known you forever. Like, it's hard for you to look at some of your old work because you're like,
That's possible.
it's like, oh man, what the fuck was I doing? And then, but really, you got to use it as like, oh shit, look how much I've grown.
Right. That's what it comes down to. And Kit Soren, another question, and this is kind of making me remember some of the things that people were asking. They were like, uh, what is the best thing that you've gotten from this whole thing? And I was like, the the search for honesty and the appreciation when you find it, you know, because at the beginning I had a lot of these celebrity voice actors and stuff. I felt like they were kind of not handling me with kid gloves, but they were trying to be supportive and saying, this is great and that's great and that's great. I'm like, fine. What's bad?
Yeah.
I don't want to hear that I've done a bad job, but I need to hear that I did bad if I did something bad.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, no creator, whether you're writing books, you're writing jokes for a comedy thing, you're doing content, you're making an animation, whatever you're doing, you're writing a movie, whatever you're doing, you don't want to hear that you didn't do a good job, but you need to hear what you didn't
Yeah.
do well.
Yeah.
And
Right.
that's the thing for me, is like, I'm always like, hey, I appreciate posting stuff to Instagram. I call it mom's fridge social media, when everybody mom puts the picture on the fridge, like
Mhm.
that's great, when they get a lot of likes, a lot of shares, things like that. I don't post on Instagram and stuff a whole lot, because I'm like, if it's good, then people are going to buy it. When I go to a show, I know it's good because people are grabbing it. You know
Right.
what I mean? I don't necessarily need that fluffing anymore, for lack of a better way of putting it. It's a terrible way to put it. But I don't necessarily need that anymore. I need constructive criticism, like you were saying, because I want to get better. Like 3 years ago, I'm in a place where I had only dreamt about being now. And now I'm like, okay, got that. And my wife and other people tell me, it's like, you need to stop and smell the flowers. I'm like, no, no, no. We're not at the garden yet. You know?
Yeah.
I've got to, it's like, we got this. Let's go there. I want that, that, and that. Let's get there. How do we get there and get that now? And it's constantly rolling. When you set a goal, I don't look at it as the final destination. It's a marker. Every goal is a marker. And
Yeah.
it's like, the type of person I am, and the type of person a lot of people in the crowd were that night. I could see a couple of people, I could see they were hungry, and I saw me 10 years ago being right there in Lexington, like, God, I just want someone to show me some kind of path to walk. I
Yeah.
want someone to show me how to get here, how to get there. And there was no one. And if there was someone, what do they do? It's like, they got their sketchbook and they're like, it's like, don't look at that. I might share with you if I like you. I don't know, man. I don't know you. I can't. No, I'm like, if you're hungry, come eat. You know what I
Yep.
mean? If you want to know, I don't know you. I don't need to know you. I'll let you know,
Yeah.
because, somebody can tell you which way to walk, but you got to walk, you know? Just
Sure.
because I can tell you the way I went, that might not work the way, it might not work for you.
Yeah,
That's one of
different
the things I found
strokes.
out.
Yeah, a lot of times it
Yeah.
doesn't work for people, but like just getting ideas on like where to go next. Like if you've tried, certain things, like you talked about networking, I feel like it's really important because it might open your eyes to another way that you've not tried yet. So, you talked briefly about Chris Sabat, being somebody you brought on to your project, onto the Aurora anime you're working on. We'd be remiss if we didn't talk about and mention. And honestly, it felt like that it was something heavy hanging over everyone's heads during LexCon weekend. I noticed you got your Goku statue up there, and I bought DBZ artwork off of you before, and there's a clear like inspiration that you've drawn from Akira Toriyama in your work. I don't think that's any kind of secret or anything. Man, what was that? I mean, what was Akira Toriyama to you?
Everything. And one of the things, like at the start of the panel the other night, I did a moment of silence for Akira Toriyama, because my opinion was, and I said it all weekend, I was like, without him, we don't have this.
Nope.
We're not going to anime conventions. We don't have Toonami. We're not watching Fruits Basket. We're not watching middle schoolers in middle school uniform anime slice of life stuff without Dragon Ball Z punching people at the face at 4 o'clock on Cartoon Network back in the late 90s.
Right.
We don't have it. We just don't.
100%.
And like, because people are like, well, I don't like that type of, I don't like DBZ. And I'm like, sit down, shut up. Because here's the thing. It's, you might not like that, but that is what proved to Suits here in the US that could sell. And without Akira Toriyama's vision and his humor and his vision of how he wanted to write and draw and pursue character work, because people, you hear it all the time. You've got like elitists, anime elitists. That's a thing, and they're just kind of like,
Morgan.
well, yeah, they're like, well, anime hipsters like, I liked this before it was cool, man. Before everybody liked it. Or Dragon Ball Z. It's so flat. The characters are so flat. Really? Tell me one Dragon Ball Z character that when they got offed, you didn't care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Dende and Guru and Nail and everybody on Namek get washed,
Yeah.
and you cared.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and just the little moments. So Akira Toriyama, I had a moment Thursday night when I kind of got the message. Of course, he passed on the first, and then we
Yeah.
the rest of the world found out later, like what happened with Miura. Rest in peace.
Yep.
I had a moment. Here in the studio. I cried.
I cried too,
Like,
man. I cried.
and I was like, I can remember Dragon. I'm tearing up a little bit now because Dragon Ball Z saved my life in many ways. Because like when I was getting into it, watching it, I had no direction. I could draw. So could a million, thousand, 100 billion other people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who cares? But I was drawn into a story, and I was influenced by other things like JRPGs. I loved
Right.
X-Men in the '80s and stuff like that. But I was really overweight. I was depressed, and I was just like I had no direction. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just graduated high school, and I was and I found this thing, and I was like, man, you know what? This is a really cool story. It made me want to get in the gym. It made me want to go work out and better myself.
Yeah.
And in a year, I was jacked. I was getting jacked. I was losing weight. I was feeling good. It gave me a direction for how I wanted to like pursue drawing characters and being an illustrator. Because people forget Akira Toriyama is a brilliant illustrator.
Yes.
Like his illustration work is amazing.
Yep.
And Chrono Trigger, Dragon Quest, things like that. So there are many people, mangaka or American comic artists, writers, and stuff like that, who tell us great stories, and we really revere characters they created. Akira Toriyama is like, I think it was the mangaka for One Punch Man. He said he's not like us. He was a star in the sky.
Yeah.
He's not like the rest of us. He was like a star in the sky that maybe one day we
Could
would
aspire
get
to be him. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like something you can never be, and that's exactly how I feel. He gave us all something very special in all of his work.
Yeah.
Chrono Trigger is 1B, my favorite game of all time, dethroned by only Final Fantasy VII. And Chrono Trigger, I've still got boxed up here on the shelf. Every time I look at it, I think of
Nice.
Toriyama because it's his work.
It is, yeah. No,
And
and honestly, you brought about like other mangakas and like anime creators, stuff like that. Like no matter what your favorite anime is, like modern anime, it would not exist without Akira Toriyama. Like,
no, not at all.
Bleach, Naruto, all of them, they all looked up to Akira Toriyama. Literally all the big three, I mean, you name it. Any big anime you can think of was inspired by Akira Toriyama. And I saw a perfect tweet about it the other day. They said, it was this dude and he was like, yeah, I told my girlfriend's family that I really liked anime. And they're like, okay. And for Christmas, they looked up on Google cool anime shirts. And they picked the coolest one they could find, and it was a Dragon Ball Z one, of course, because again, you talk about his illustrations. Like this dude, he drew the coolest looking shit imaginable, right?
Mm-hmm.
Spiky hair, the power levels and stuff like that, with like the auras glowing around him and all that. Like shit was like that dude he just inspired everyone. And real quick, Josh brought up too, and you talked about working out. He said there are tons of athletes that list Goku as their inspiration for training. Tons of animators who list Akira Toriyama as their inspiration. He said almost half of our modern media doesn't exist without Dragon Ball. Well put, Josh.
Wow.
100% right.
Yeah, and think about how many times you've been watching a football game. Like I'm a big Chicago Bears fan. Think about how many times you watch an NFL game or a soccer match or anything like that. They're not doing goofy stuff from other comics. They're throwing Kamehameha waves to
Yep.
celebrate. They're doing power up motions. They're throwing
They're
their
doing
hands
instant
up.
transmission. Like,
Yeah, they're doing. Yeah,
yeah,
it's all. Look, it inspired generations of people.
yeah,
One of my favorite things to do when I'm feeling down in the studio or I'm feeling tired and defeated, I'll go on YouTube and I'll look up video of huge arenas and plazas full of people in like South America, Argentina, Brazil, watching Dragon Ball Super and just going crazy watching it in like a public plaza together. I was like, fuck, I want to be there. You know what I mean? That's what I want, and just how many people are just moved by it.
yeah,
So it's it goes beyond measure. Kentaro Miura for me was a bastion of writing and dark fantasy and stuff like that, and it hit me on a personal level when he passed away.
right.
This is something else. You know what I mean? It took me time to I was texting people today. I was like, man, it's been a fucking bad week,
Yeah,
and I had
man.
a great weekend.
It,
But it's just,
it felt like your grandpa passed away, is what it felt like.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. Yes, someone's been with you forever, and it's always that picture of him making a goofy face, looking over his shoulder at the drawing board. It's
Yeah.
what you always see of Toriyama, and that's really who he is. If you
Yeah.
talk to people who knew him, that's who he was.
Yep.
He made the little robot Toriyama illustration because he hated being on camera.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, he was just amazing. There will never be another one, man.
Nope.
Ever.
Never.
Ever. Like his loss will be felt for generations. His influence will be here long after we're all gone.
For sure.
So, yeah. Kids will be watching Dragon Ball Z in 50, 60 years after I have long since left this earth.
Yep. 100%, man. No, I mean, and like how big it is in countries that aren't Japan, not just here, but like, you see it in the West, in United States, but like Brazil, Dragon Ball Z is just like insanely huge. Mexico, like I saw that I think it was Argentina, they did a spirit bombs, they did a massive spirit bomb summoning for Akira Toriyama's death. There's a video of that. There was like thousands of people in the town square just doing it.
Yeah, there was one where I think it may have been the same thing. There was this construction site
Yeah.
that had stopped working, and all the construction workers were doing this. They did like a 5 minutes of
man.
And I was like, construction work, like these guys, it's not a sporting event. These are just regular people working. And the boss is like, we're gonna take 5 minutes. We're gonna do Genki Dama. Let's go.
Yeah.
And they were all smiling. They're like, partially because they're like, hey, we're taking 5 minutes to do nothing. But also they were like, we're throwing it up for Toriyama. There were so many people. Like the soccer matches, the huge arenas full of people singing Chala Head Chala, I mean,
yeah, we went down to Knoxville Saturday for the Fanboy Comic Expo and Anime.
How was that?
It was not great, but we were talking on the way down there, me and Bobby and Josh, and I was like, I actually think this is the biggest celebrity death, like for me, like in my life. Like this one hit me the hardest for sure.
Yeah.
Like Carrie Fisher hit me pretty hard, but this one, it just hit on a different level. What'd you say, Katsura?
Carrie Fisher was mine, where I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that one hit hard too. But this one, there was, like you said, Ray, there was just something about it that felt different,
I'm tearing up a little bit right now thinking about it. But it's like, there were a lot of celebrity deaths that hit me for different reasons. Like when Tom Petty died, I felt that. When you can go down the list of actors and musicians and stuff like that. But for me, and Miura, who I mentioned earlier, but for me, this was almost like a person. He's a person. He's a family and loved ones, of course, But it's almost like he was like a deity, almost.
Yeah,
it was like this fictitious person that you're like, oh, the creator of Dragon Ball Z, Akira Toriyama. It just rolls off your tongue, and
everyone knew who he was.
You don't put a person to it.
Yeah.
Now the person's dead, and you're like, wow, that was a real person.
Yeah.
And we just took for granted that he was here doing these things all these years. Kind of pisses me off that he wasn't that he wasn't able to create the way he wanted to create for about 20 years.
I know.
And then they threw Super out, and then they started taking out. He had like something like 5 or 6 projects balancing when he died.
Yeah.
And like Taru, I forget his name, Yoku Taru or whoever it is, and his son are going to take him over. But
his
yeah,
son,
man.
I know his son was helping. He helped with animation for Dragon Ball Super and or like drawing it at least and stuff
Storyboarding
like
and stuff like that, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's never going to be another one. Like, I think the goal of a storyteller, no matter what you're trying to do, is just to tell a great story. If it becomes a phenomenon for like a couple of years, like Attack on Titan did or something like that,
Yeah.
you're over the moon. You're like, wow, I did it. But to create something like he created, the only person I can think of because of mine is Tolkien.
Yep.
That's it.
Well, I wanted to
That's where it
say,
stops.
I actually wanted to say that what Tolkien did for like fantasy and just like writing books in general, I think that Toriyama was like, if you could compare like someone's pictures, like drawings, to like the same level that Tolkien was to writing, like that's parallel to me.
Yeah.
He was like the J.R.R. Tolkien of drawing cool characters.
Yeah. I mean, he created a culture. Like Toriyama created a whole culture that was acceptable and cool. It made anime cool.
It did make anime cool. Yeah.
It went from like watching Vampire Hunter D and Ninja Scroll and Akira Toriyama in your basement with a couple of nerd buddies and not telling anybody about it, to rocking the shirts at school and having them on your sneakers.
Kids spiking their hair up and shit. Yeah.
Yes, that's what it did, And also Toriyama's art style is genius in its own way because it's so palatable and it's so easy for kids to pick up and draw, which was one of his things. He wanted kids to be able to draw his characters.
Yep.
You know what I mean? He could draw, like, think of the most insane looking, Madhouse production artwork anime you can think of. He could draw that.
Right.
But he didn't, because he wanted kids to be able to draw his stuff and love his characters. Because if a kid can draw your character, they love that character. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, like to your point, like some of his illustrations in Sandland, which actually I loved that manga growing up. And it was in Weekly Shonen Jump. It never got an anime, surprisingly, because it wasn't that popular. But like, dude, that dude could pencil some shit. Let me tell you.
Well, the Sandland, if you ever seen I'm sure you've seen the art books for that.
Yeah,
like they're insane.
Mm-hmm.
Like every page is like this insane illustration. And his pencil work in that, like you said, his pencil work is amazing. Like, it's who I mimic my pencils after when I work on stuff, because like a lot of times you'll see pencils and roughs and stuff like that. Do you know who Sean Pryor is?
Yeah, I actually just met Sean at LexCon. They did the 6 Bomb Board like live art thing.
Mm-hmm.
First time I'd been around cons with him like forever, and I just never got a chance to meet him. I met him for the first time. Really fucking cool dude. We're gonna have to get him on the show.
Great dude. He's a fantastic guy.
Yeah.
And the first time we met, he was looking over some of my work because he was kind of allocating artists he might want to work with or whatever. And he looked at some pencils I had. He goes, "Your pencils are, oh my God, your pencils are just." And I was like, "Yeah, it's Akira Toriyama, bro." That's who I was like. I want my pencils to be clean.
Yeah.
And his pencils are super clean.
Uh-huh.
And even if you look at Miura's work and Jim Lee and people like that, their pencils are great. But if you took Toriyama's pencils and just scanned them and darkened the lines, it could be an inked page.
Yeah.
It's super clean. So I've always loved that.
Yeah, man, for sure. Lighter note, you talk about like comic books and shit, and you mentioned X-Men earlier, but X-Men 97 comes out next week.
Mm-hmm.
It sure does.
Actually, I saw a couple people's reviews who got invited to the premiere the last night, I believe it was, and pretty good reviews from everyone.
Nice. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, but
the reason I get my D+ for a year.
yeah, no kidding.
That's the reason, yeah.
But the thing is, like the story just came out like a couple days ago though that the guy who made it got fired from the project. He's also the Moon Knight director.
Yep.
That's
It
weird
doesn't
timing.
surprise me.
It's weird timing. Either they're like expecting it to bomb, or they're trying to get ahead of some like allegations or some shit. Is the only thing I can think of.
Well, Disney, it seems like they have people are a resource to them. Like you could create, like you could have the greatest creator on deck, and if the numbers are off on the money and your name comes up, you're gone.
Right.
That's really all it is there. Now they bring creators back in. They'll rehire people and bring them back in, but and it could be a thing where maybe the person did something or said something
Right.
off kilter or whatever. But they make a lot of weird decisions. I mean, just look at what they did when they brought Bob Iger back in.
Yeah. True.
And yeah, and they were like, "We're going to do this and this, and we're going to put all this stuff out there." Oh no, now we're not going to do it. Now we're going to can all these Star Wars movies that we shot, and we're not going to put those. We're going to focus on just like small, intimate movies. We're going to get back to our blockbuster. Which is it? What are you
Dude,
doing?
they're a mess. The
Yeah.
rumor mill that's been churning for like past 6-7 months is that Apple is like trying to lobby to buy them.
hmm
So
Well, they were for sale. I thought at one point,
yeah,
like low key, like they were
right,
shopping the company around.
right,
Yeah.
yeah. I think I heard a little bit about that too. Ketsorn, are you excited for X-Men '97? Are you gonna watch it?
I am so very excited. Yes.
Yeah, you grow up watching X-Men as
Yeah.
well.
No, actually, I watched it. Oh my gosh, it must have been like 6 years. 6 years ago.
Oh, really? For the first time?
Yeah, for the first time then. Yep.
How incredible
So
is it though?
it is so good.
One of the best animated shows of all time. 100%.
Agreed. So I'm very excited.
The opening theme too, and like
Yeah.
two things for me about the X-Men show is the opening theme. As soon as that first little hits, like like, oh man, I'm in for a good time here. And I love the way the shows were written and like
Yeah.
how they were acted. Like it was like one line after another, but it sounded like a comic would read.
Yep.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That was what I loved about it.
The Spider-Man
Yeah.
shows the same way. It felt so much like I was just like watching the comic being read
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah.
Love both of those. Hopefully it'll be successful and we'll get the Spider-Man version continuation too, because the way that show ended, there was a lot of story to still tell. So
Mhm.
Well,
I-
since we're talking about new shows, you guys, I hope you guys are aware that Invincible Part 2 of Season 2 is dropped yesterday. So I don't know how many episodes dropped. I'm going to assume it's 2 or 3. But are we excited about that?
Yeah. Like
Good.
I've
hell yeah.
enjoyed Steven Yeun. It like he sounds like I always thought he would, like animated, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I
He's
love
a teenager, that
we're
that
in an age where you can create an animation and it's just uber violent. Just
yeah.
like it needs to be. It doesn't feel like it's edited or reeled in at all.
No, they're going balls to the wall. I love it.
Yeah.
Are we gonna watch that
Gosh.
tonight, Ketsoren? Are you gonna stay awake?
No, I'm going to fall asleep. It's past my bedtime already.
Ugh.
Well, I'll tell you what, like I was it's been like this week has been last weekend was wild. And then all the follow-up stuff I've been doing this week and getting back into the flow, get back on the horse and everything. I was tired tonight. And then I remembered I had you all lined up tonight and I kind of perked up a little bit. I was like, okay, I'm gonna get my second wind here.
Hey.
Kind of get my bounce back a little bit,
Did you watch the Oscars at all?
Yeah, I did.
I was pleasantly surprised with a lot of it.
I watched a little bit. I was back and forth. My wife was watching it, so I was back and forth between the studio and watching the Oscars. I loved how, like, when they would present an award, like the 5 previous winners came out, and it kind of showed like the history of the award or whatever, and then it showed their shots from their movies, and then it raised up, and then they would come out. I think the first one was best supporting actress, or what
Yeah.
they call it now, female actor or something like that. I can't remember what they call it now.
I think it's best supporting actress. I think.
Yeah, but it was Jamie Lee Curtis and the others. They came out. I thought that had like an elegance to it. When I
Yeah.
think of the Oscars, I think of like high society, very elegant. Very we're dressed up to the nines. We're gonna put on the best show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it felt important this year. You know what I mean? I think a lot of it had to do with the strike, the SAG strike, and they
Yeah.
were trying to put their best foot forward. But yeah, I thought it was great.
Yeah. No, I was super happy to see Oppenheimer clean up. I thought it was well
Mhm.
deserved. I was really happy to see Emma Stone win for Poor Things because despite I thought that movie was pretty good, but it was very fucking weird. Um, but her performance was phenomenal. So
Well, it's great to see her get her flowers too. She's an amazing talent.
she is, and she seems like a genuine person. Like
Mhm.
maybe I'm just becoming a big softy as I get older because I got kids and shit. But like I teared up during her acceptance speech. It was very genuine and I don't know. It just made me feel some type of way. I don't know why, but
I felt good because I was like, up until a few years ago, I was like, hey, it's the chick from Zombieland, and she's getting an Oscar. You know what I mean?
Zombieland, Easy A, like Superbad, like all that stuff. She did all the silly
Superbad,
stuff.
yeah, I forgot she was in Superbad. Man,
Yeah,
doesn't seem like it's been as long as it has since that movie first dropped, right?
dude, it definitely feels like forever. That was like senior year of high school for me. So yeah, that feels like eons ago.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
But yeah, the Oscars, it felt important this year.
it did, and like I said, it felt good. Like it felt like most of the things that should have won. Even Godzilla -1 got an
That's what,
award. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. They got to
I'm
go on
like,
stage and get an Oscar. That was cool. You know what I mean?
right. I love all the Godzilla memes where he's like accepting the Oscar. He's like,
Yeah.
I love that shit. Um, yeah. So what is speaking of movies? Civil War comes out April 12th, but there's already some early reviews out for it. It's getting really good reviews from what I've seen. That's the Alex Garland movie. That's like feels very on the nose of. I mean, it's the title says what it is, Civil War, right?
like Civil War, like another Marvel movie. So no, it's not what it sounds like. I'm thinking pretty stuff.
No, it's funny you mentioned that. Someone posted a meme today, and like people were very confused. They're like, early reviews for Civil War are out, and they're like, it's like the pacing's all over the place, and like it has no Marvel characters in it, and they're like pissed
I'm
off.
I wonder if a lot of people thought that.
Yeah, they probably did.
Civil War,
Yeah.
what?
I love Alex Garland a lot. I love the way he writes so much, and even the way he directs. One of my favorite writer slash director, maybe my favorite. Ex Machina, one of my favorite movies of all time. Loved Annihilation. 28 Days Later, he wrote.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite movies of all time.
We still got to do that review of Ex Machina.
Oh yeah, Matt, where you at, homie? Jesus,
Mhm.
we're supposed to go on Quad Pro Quo like a year ago, literally.
Yeah.
And it just hasn't happened yet. We need to do it.
Speaking of, this is our 50-second show, by the way.
50-second show. Crazy.
Mhm.
Crazy
Happy
brazy.
52.
Well, it's like, a full year in weeks time. So like we've had to take some shows off, of course, but yeah, it's like a full year of episodes.
Yeah, and
Wow.
we're not tired.
We're not what?
We're not tired.
Oh yeah, not at all.
Right.
Well, so didn't you reveal some stuff at your panel? Can you talk a little bit about that, about what you revealed, or is that for secret
Part of it is I can talk a little bit about it.
Okay.
So there are a number of things in the works. I actually just met with a game designer today, and so we've got
Oh,
some
wow.
things in the works for Aurora. We've got some bigger things in the works as far as like a proper studio goes. Windlands Productions, get things moving in the right direction. But with Aurora, I've got the Kickstarter that we did, Volume 3. It's going to be out next month, and it's on
Hell
time.
yeah.
It's actually a little bit early, so we're excited about that. When I say we, it's me most of the time. It's my humble side talking. It's like, what's this we? You got a mouse in your pocket? No, it's just me. But like, so that Volume 4 is going to be out in October,
Wow.
and
Moving quick, bro.
and
Yeah.
5, 6, and 7 are all three coming out in 2025.
Wow, dude.
Wow.
Volume 5 wraps up the Darklands story arc, which is the first story arc of the tale.
Sure.
And then we go into the Journey arc, and then after that it's Burgone, and then it's off and run after that. I'm talking to other inkers and stuff like that to help me get more done. I'm digitally doing all the pencils and stuff like that, and then rendering them out and getting them out to inkers and stuff that can help speed the production along. Basically, now that I can pay people,
Right.
Yeah.
But as far as the animation goes, we're putting a lot of work into the YouTube channel for Aurora and Windlands Productions as a whole. We're going to start doing some animated sequences. I've got some voice actors who are lined up who are kind of going to be on the DL, like have a code name in the credits and everything because they're union people and all that kind of thing. So, but they're going to participate. We've got some. One of the things I'm doing with Windlands Productions is we're going to do like little 2 or 3 minute animation remakes of like classic anime battles and stuff like that from like Tenchi Muyo and other stuff, and
Nice.
we're going to remake them.
Nice.
And we've got some voice actors who may be interested in coming back and reprising some roles from back in the 90s. So we're doing a lot of cool stuff with that. But with our creator-owned stuff with Aurora, the animated series is going to premiere on October 26th. So we're excited about that.
Let's
And
go.
this summer, beginning the lead up to that, there's going to be 5 mini episodes that launch on YouTube on our channel, and you'll be able to watch them for free. And it's all going to be lead up to the story that you don't get in the graphic novels and you don't get in the show. It's just small character pieces that kind of explain and set you up for what's about to happen when the story launches. So we're really excited about that. We've got a trading card game in the works. We got we got a trading card game in the works. We're working out the rules and everything, but I've got, some of the artwork is done, and it's like it's pretty wild to have it like in hand. But that stuff, we're not gonna really show much about until 2025 because we want the show to be out and kicking and then release the other things. So, but it's been a ton of work. But what I'm excited about is the possibility of starting Woodlands Productions, like an actual physical studio in Lexington, Kentucky,
That's
where
what's
other
up.
people who want to do what I've done and figure out their path can come and study and work there, like help make books, do animation. You want to work on games? We're going to have people that can do that. And but still figuring out the business end of all that. We haven't put a concrete date on having a physical studio, but that is the next big goal of mine, is to have a place where people don't have to go to LA, don't have to go to New York, and we can kind of capitalize on this hotbed of talent we have here in Central Kentucky, because we do.
Dude, you're not wrong, by the way, about that.
Yeah.
There is so many talented fucking people, like in Lexington alone, that like I feel like don't get enough love, enough showcase. And like finally LexCon is recognizing some of you guys, which is great. Having you on as guests. So I hope that trend continues, and we can lift up the locals. I love the idea of the local studio. I think it's a great idea. I'm definitely gonna have to come tour it and show it off on the channel whenever that happens too. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like you guys will be there for the grand opening and everything. And also, there's just a number of things. Like it's kind of overwhelming at times because like once you open one door, when you start opening the right doors, other doors start opening behind those doors.
Yeah.
You know, like do you know who Sonny Strait is? I'm not trying to name drop or anything like that. I could have said a voice actor, but
voice of he's a voice actor in a lot of stuff, but in Dragon Ball Z he was Krillin, right?
right, yeah. On Saturday we were just at the table working, and I made he was in Artist Alley. I made eye contact with him. He came right over my table, and he was like, he basically knew what all this was, and he was like, "I'm in. I want to be in it." And I was like, "Wow, okay." He introduced himself. I was like, "Nah, that's not necessary. I know who you are, you know." And then he took my phone out of my hand and put his information in my phone and gave it back to me and said, "Text me."
That's what's
And
up.
I was like, "Okay." And I looked over at my assistant, Chris. I was like, "That just happened?" He's looking at his mouth. It was like, "Yeah, that just happened," you know. And so, and that's not like bragging. That's just like that's
No,
just like this is like
incredible.
a story where I share those things because I'm like 5 years ago I would never thought that could happen. And
Yeah.
someone's in my shoes that I was in 5 years ago. I was like, that can never happen to me. Yeah, it can. You just got to work. You got to have a direction. Put your head down.
Yeah.
And it helps if you're stubborn. Like I busted my head against many walls with no doors and carved out a hole to get through. You know, what I mean? That's just kind of how I work. It's you guys sometimes you got to screw up a lot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and to your point too, like there's a lot of like-minded people that go to conventions, right? Like they're there like because they like being around that type of stuff, and
It's infectious.
it is infectious. You never know what you might run into. I mean, I never thought. Talk about Chris Sabat. I've interviewed him a couple times, and I tell this story a lot just because it's so cool to me. And again, not bragging. It's just like I can't believe this fucking happened to me. So
Yeah.
like I was in Louisville, and this was back whenever Louisville Con was a thing, and SuperCon, and he was a guest there, and he had just gotten off his plane. I was in the lobby getting ready to head into the show, like before most people like press, like we do, and he literally stopped me in the lobby. He grabbed my arm. And he's like, "Hey man, how's it been? How you been? It's been a long time. Been a couple years." And I was like, Chris Sabat just fucking like dapped me up, like we're homies. Like this is crazy.
Yeah. Look, here's the thing. Like so many of the people in that industry, I'll go ahead and say they're the busiest people on the planet.
Yes.
Because they're playing 3 or 4 characters a day, every day.
Yep.
And pursuing their own things too, you know?
Dude, I swear voice actors are probably the hardest working people in the whole industry.
They are.
Yeah.
I mean, I have no qualms about saying they definitely are.
Yeah.
I mean, when I get a chance, when I get the rare moment to talk to them or something like that about the project and about where we're going or whatever, they're always just genuinely like, I'll put it to you this way. There's been more than a couple of them that told me it's like, we love getting behind people who get behind their ideas. You know, they love helping create, to pay the bills and to make the fame and stuff. They read these translated lines and bring these characters to life for Western audiences.
Right.
That's what they do when they dub. But their real passion lies with helping creators like us and like other people who have the fortitude to put their stuff out there. They get behind people like that and they help try to push their stuff as best can. You know? Chris Sabat actually he told me, he was like, stay on me and we'll talk and stuff like that, but I'm so busy, if you don't stay on me, I'm just going to disappoint you horribly because I will forget. And I was like, you don't have to tell me that. I know how busy you are.
I mean, he does all that directing now too, so plus the voice acting that he already does. Crazy.
Yeah. And all the show appearances. I mean, you saw how dumped his line was.
He always has the biggest line at any convention he's ever at. It doesn't matter how big the celebrity list is. He's always got the biggest line. It never fails.
And he's always the last one to leave.
That's exactly why. Yeah.
Last one to leave.
He's a great dude.
Yeah, when I met him and talked to him at the last day of the convention, and we got him on board for Aurora, I heard him say to someone, he was like, "Nah," he's like, "If you cap the line, don't cap it yet." He was like, "I'll stay till everybody's done." And he was talking to a convention employee about it. He's like, "I'll stay till it's done,"
Yeah.
you know. And I was one of the last few people to meet him, and I timed it so I wouldn't tie anybody up while I'm talking to him. And so, like, he was all smiles at everybody, even to the tail end of the line. I came back by, pulling some stuff down to the lobby, and he had 3 or 4 people left. This is that hour after I talked to him, and he was still smiles and doing Vegeta and All Might voices and stuff. And he was, guy's a consummate pro, and so many of them are.
That
You
yeah.
know, they just have a real joy for what they do.
Yep. Yeah, for sure, man. Really cool to see how you've grown, and all the big things you got coming. I'm excited to, you know, be able to report on it and all that, and keep having you on, and you know, carry like. I don't know how to say this, but just to be able to be somewhat a part over here at least of what you're doing, like, just, you know, I think it's really cool.
Keep it progress, you know, like seeing your progress, you know, and looking at it. It's great.
Well, I'm just saying we've come a long way from me buying your DBZ sketch cards like what 8 years ago to this.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It makes me happy that, you know, one of my goals in all of this was I'm from Harrodsburg. And, you know, growing up in the 90s in Harrodsburg, there wasn't like you have one of two options you could go. And, you know, to be in a position to start something, to kind of start a fire that, you know, in a few years I could be in a position to go to like rural communities where these kids, they don't have a lot of options, and be able to offer a scholarship, be able to offer a place where they can come work and do what they love and that kind of thing. That's really the end goal for all of this stuff,
For sure,
is
man.
to have a place where people that don't feel like they can. That's always been my goal.
Word.
And
Yeah.
So yeah, and you know, you guys will always be a part of everything that I do. I go radio silent for a while because my face is down. One of the questions I got asked in the panel is, what kind of toll has this taken on you? And I had my hat off and I was like, all this was brown when I started. It's like white and silver through here now. All this was brown, luscious brown when I started.
Part of that's being a dad, though. Let me look at that gray.
Oh yeah. I got the final boss gray going on right now. I call this the final boss right here. And next time I do a panel, your ass better be there,
dude. Yeah,
you don't know Kitsura. I gave him shit. Like,
yeah, I was sad I couldn't, but
I was actually waiting to talk to Erica Lindbeck, who we also got to agree to be in Aurora.
Hell yeah.
So we got her, but I was waiting in line to talk to her, and the guys come by. I was like, y'all coming to the panel tonight? They're like, no, we got this thing, dude. I was like, oh, fine. So I started giving them some shit about it, but I love you guys. I was hoping you didn't take it too personally. You walked off, and I told Chris, I was like, man, I hope they didn't take it personally. I was just joking.
Nah, we knew you were cutting up with us. It's all good, bro. I felt bad I couldn't come, but no, it's all good.
Good.
Definitely want to hit up the next one for sure. Hell, I might even record it next time just so you have it forever. Yeah. But we're unfortunately out of time tonight. But Ray, thank you so much for coming on, brother. It's so cool to see Aurora skyrocket, and I'm really excited for issue 3 and for the show that's coming along too. Very excited for the pilot and the mini episodes and all that. It's gonna be sick, man. It's gonna be sick.
Cool. When we premiere it later on this year, I'll come back on. How's that sound?
Love it. Sounds great. Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, appreciate you guys.
Yep. All right. So what do we say, Ketsoren?
Stay nerdy, everybody.
Until you forgot the until next time part.
Well, now I'm changing it. Stay nerdy, or else.
Or else. It's a threat. All right. Bye.